Hi friends, this is Vema Reddy. Today we will see some of the Workato functions, how we can use the Workato functions to filter and transform the data. Uh, s- First, we will see the use case. And then we will try to come up with the solution. But the solution will take almost a long time. The video length will be more. So I'll try to reduce the video length by making 2 or 3 videos. First, let's see the use case. So someone has posted a question on LinkedIn saying that so they have some requirement like a just kind of use case. They have a books information. Okay, they wanted to do these books grouping based on the genre. Okay, they wanted to do the grouping based on the genre. So the input structure you can see this is a list of books. Each book has one of the field called genre, and all these books need to group it based on the genre. So if it is multiple things are there, so this is typically there is no straightforward way you can achieve this one because this is kind of the genre, right? So the tag names itself will be dynamic. So it could be anything that the type of the genre it would be coming. So difficult to put in because always Workato will run with kind of a structure based. So you have to define the schema up front. So when your keys itself is not static, it's a dynamic. So then it will be difficult to write it. So there are multiple ways to achieve this one. Like one is with the custom scripting. We can go with Ruby or Groovy, whatever it is, like JavaScript or anything. But other thing is you can go with XSLT. Other thing is using the Workato inbuilt function. So now I tried with because the it's specifically mentioned with the no code solution. No, you don't want to use any code or custom scripting. So that's where I'm trying to say. But I wanted to see a couple of the functions. So in order to implement this one. Okay, the first function, what we are going to do is in a queue. How to make the records in a queue. There could be many ways of things implementing this in a queue records. So and then what we need to do, how to filter the records, how to loop through the records. For example, I can say that loop through the records or record whatever, loop through the records and then filter the only the required records and then merge, or I can say concat the list. Okay, so this is the typical things we need to get these things to be done. So what first we'll see how we can make the NEQ records, then we will go the next how we can do the looping through and how we can able to loop through and get the filter records and all the things. So first I have already built these things, but I wanted to build one by one with this. So I think in this video we'll try to cover the NEQ records. What exactly we're trying to do NEQ records is I want to find the unique generates in this XML. I want to read this XML. In this XML, I want to find out the generates. What are the unique values of the generate? So how you can do is this is very simple, straightforward way, but there is a ways also you can achieve. There is a pros and cons of with achieving this one. So first thing, and we'll see how we can go and do this one. Okay, first I'm going to do this one, creating a new folder over here. I'll make this as Workato functions. Okay, so in the other videos, we have already seen a couple of functions already. So now I'm just going to create a recipe here. In this recipe, I will run with a scheduler one here. Okay, I wanted to make the generates. Okay, I want to make the unique generates. How we can do, like what are the possible ways we can do with this one, right? So I'm just going to, for simplicity, right, instead of saving this thing and reading all these things, what I can do is I can just quickly go through and copy this one. So since this is an XML, Workato already have the XML related functions here. You can just type add, go to add actions here, and you can just see a thing called, you type for XML here. You can see XML tools by Workato. So these XML tools by Workato have only certain actions, like you can do the parsing, and you can do the um, transformation of XML and then validation. So you don't have option to generate an XML kind of thing, but there is a way also you can do that one. With functions, you can generate that one. But now let's see that I want to parse an XML. So here you can just keep anything. This is my sample document and this is my document. So I'm hard coding this one. If in case you want to read a file and then pass the content here, that also you can do. 1 second. So now if you want to pass it, so what we can do is you can just read the download. You can go to the file action here, on-premise file, and then you can download the file here, and then you can read pass the download output over here so that you can even read the file also. But I, for simplicity, I want to go with parse XML here. So then now, once I wanted to do, I just want to print the log here, okay, to see that it information is been printing or not, okay. So nothing else I wanted to do. I'll just go here and then I'll just put the, you can see that it's automatically comes as a list. You can see this menu kind of symbol is typically telling that it's an okay. So now you can see that it is, if you put this underscore S. Okay, so you want to see this one. This is the what you can do. Okay, to underscore S. Change to formula and then drag the library and then you can make it as to underscore S. So now let's try to save it and then run it. First, let's see the data is coming properly or not. So now you can see that parse XML has passed the data, and you can see by default it shows only couple of few records only because of the length restrictions. I think here is only a few records, and then able to see all that information, and you can see that this is how it generates this one. So internally Workato, what it will do is a list is called Workato, what it will do is a list is nothing but Workato has two different types. It says if you look at Workato functions, if you go to Workato functions, what you can do is you have two different types. One is list and another one is hash. So hash is similarly kind of thing. What you can call as is a map in a JSON object, right? So you can call it as in the JSON object. What you can call it as a hash here. So in the Ruby, it's called as hash here. So you can see that the hash is nothing but it's here it's how it's impressed key and the separator and the value, like that it shows. So it says it's a dictionary, it's a unique keys and their values. You can say it's very similar to the JSON objects, except so this whereas this one is similar to list only, but the list uses index, whereas hash uses the keys to object it. So now they are going to use this one. So you can see that when you print this one, because the list book is an hash, that's why you can see that values is getting printed like this. So now if you want to access a specific element, what you can do is you can use this kind of notation to access this one. Okay, now that's all we just want to know. This is a hash and this is a list. It's nothing but it's a list of hashes. So now we are able to see that we are able to read the document, and then we can, now we wanted to see how we can go and do the filtering. So we want to filtering. Now you can just put this as a, add a comment here, print payload. Okay, now you add one more thing here. Maybe even you can just copy this and you can just click on paste and then delete the newly generated one. So now you can just go ahead and edit the comment. What are the different ways is loop. No, I want to print the unique values. Okay, unique values. So how you can print the unique values is, so if you can just go here, make a maximize screen. So now you can see that this is a XML, root XML I have. This is the one I want to print this value here. But am I able to get this value? Like, let's see what is the value it's coming. By default, what happens is when you use the directly, they will call it as a data pill, they can call it as a data element. It only comes like one value because by default it takes the first element in the list and it will be printing that. But not, that is not our expectation. Our expectation is to print all the values. So in order to print all the values, what we need to do, we should take it from the book. Okay, we should take it from the book. From that book, I want to tell that, okay, to the Workato, hey, Workato, you have many elements in this hash. You give me the only one element that I'm required, so that I'm expecting. So in that case, you want to tell that is one of the function called pluck. So you can say that pluck, what it exactly it says, a pluck is gets the specified columns in a list. So you can add many columns, but what it's trying to tell you is if you want out of this, you have multiple columns, but I want only a specific column. So what you can do is you can just put this genre here. Okay. You can put this genre and then let's try to see what is this value will coming. Okay, it says that, it says that I think it did not run properly. I think if you go to the test jobs, go to exit, you can see it says that some error is there, right? So error is there. So now go to edit. So you have to, maybe you can just remove this one and see if this thing is going to solve the error. I just selected the cursor here. I'm just putting it here. Now let me just see if these things will sort out the issue. Okay, you can see that this is trying to return, but somehow it's not able to identify. It seems like it's not directly taking the data pill. What you need to do is you have to give the values in a single quotes. Okay, how you can give value in single quotes, but you have to give the value of the API name. How do you see the API name? You hover your mouse over here, you can see API name is the one. It's not a capital, it's a small one. The API name, it's highlighted in the block box, right? That's one you need to enter. It is GENRE. Okay, this is the one you need to type it. So now let's go ahead and see whether we are able to get this. What this pluck function will do, it will go to the book element and it get all the values of this given element. Okay, one second. Like now, let's see whether it is properly. Now let's refresh. Okay, given it. Now test recipe one more time. Okay, you can see that sometimes it won't load properly. You just click on refresh and you can see this values has been given from the each of the list. Okay, each of the items in the array. So now, but I want, what is my requirement is I want to get unique values only. So how do we get the unique values is very simple. So there is one more function called unique. You see, returns the unique items in an array. Okay. Now we have learned the pluck, how the pluck function works. But in case if you want to get the more elements, right? You want to get the more elements, you can go to here. You can also give the values. Instead of you get only one element, you can also give the multiple elements also. For example, now I want to give the, okay, for example, I want to put title also. Okay, and just for simplicity, click on refresh and then test recipe. You can see there is a two values is been coming up. Okay, now my requirement is I want to only get the one element and then I get the unique elements over here. So this unique, what it will returns an unique element here. You can see in the plug, you can do the unique elements here and then the unique elements here. So that it will, for example, if you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it means unique is the one, it expects the input as an array. Yeah, the pluck is giving me an array input. On the array, you apply the unique so that it will give unique values. So now let me just go ahead and test this recipe to see. You can click on this view. So this is the view, it will going to give me the, okay, I think this is not refreshed properly. You can go to exit. Okay, go to that jobs, get the latest job. Okay, you can see that because sometimes it won't load when you open the previous job, it shows the current output only. When you click on view also, but sometimes it won't. But you can see that this is the only three values available in the in the entire books one. So this is a now unique values. Now we know that unique values are available. But what is the other option you can get the unique values is you can also use a different options here. For example, now I don't want to because well, there is one problem here is that you will not be able to see the structure here. You'll not be able to see the structure here, right? So now you can see only the thing is you can see the value, how the values are coming up here. Values are coming up like the array over here. Okay, you can see it is coming up as an array. Okay, now what are the other options you can get is you can also use something called collections. Okay, now I can just put this as, am I edit? Okay, I'm not in edit mode. So you can just select if you want to do multiple things to be commented, select and then comment. Okay, now I wanted to do the collections. So there is also one more thing called, this is very powerful in collections. You can do this collections. You can create a list and then you can do a lot of XML SQL related transformations. So now let's see that create SQL things. Okay. So now I want to create a list. What I want to create the list is I want to create the list source as this one. Okay. Book. So now what is a book I wanted to do? Books. I want to return a list name as a books. Okay. Want to return list as a books. So now what it will do is, so once the moment you put a list, right, you select the what is the thing you want to put it as an index, but it's up to you whether you want to put, but it's always preferable to put the primary key so that when you write anything, queries and all right, so you can easily do. Okay, now you can see that list is created. Now you can just run this one. So what it will do is with this, it just create the list. So you can see that it has a columns, 4 column, 5 columns are there, and rows count is 8. So now you have the list is gets created. How you can perform the duplicate things is you can go to the SQL collections here once again, and then you can query the list. So when you query the list, what you can do is you can do that select star from. So you can write all SQL statements. On behind screen, the SQL collections is works on SQLite. Okay, now you can see that you have to take these value things as from the list. Okay, so now we are using the query list. So in this query list, what you can do, you can write the select star from. So in the select star from, you just give the list as this one, books list. Okay. And then you just see what list you wanted to do. For example, I wanted to do the group by, to make sure you follow the proper naming convention, group by, and then you can do the genre. Okay, so now you want to generate the fields as this one. So since we don't have a JSON, I'm just going to create the manually. For simplicity, I'm just going to give all these fields as. Okay, so I'm just going to execute this one. So now let's see how many rows has been created now. 4 rows has been created. 1, 2, and 3. Sorry, only 3 rows has been created. You can see the first is dystopian and fiction and then romance. So like these are the three kind of things has been done. So you can like this, you can use the query, you can write to SQL transformations, and then you can do the filtering, whatever the things you want. So this is another way of how you wanted to do the filtering. Or else you can use the looping concept, and also you can try to create how you can use the things. So now one last thing, in case if you want to, in case if you want to, in this unique values, you want to generate it to a new line or something, you want to consider because this is kind of, now this is kind of a data pill is there, data tree is there. So now you can go ahead and use the from the query list. You can map any one of them you want to copy also. But the problem here is like if you when you go with the work functions, right? So you don't have a way to copy this one. But in case you want to copy this to something, right? What you can do is either you can this generate this to JSON, right? To JSON. So you can see that this JSON, how this JSON looks like. Okay, you can see that this is JSON, proper JSON has been created. Or else you want to use, instead of you use to JSON, for example, you want to use to CSV. Okay, you can also do CSV, but I don't want to do any one of the things. I want to use the smart join each of the things. I want to create it into a new line. So now why I'm doing this one is if I want to read this as a CSV list, what I can do is I can just even do this as a CSV list also. You can see this CSV. And later if I want to just read only this values, what I can do, I can just go ahead and add the CSV collection here. And you can see the part CSV, and the output what I can do is, and other output what I can do is output. From this message, I can map, and the column delimiter, you can put anything. You can just put only one column, that is called generate. And do we have this header? No, we don't have any header. So now let's go ahead and then run this one. So now if you want the function, you want to do the function and filtering, but later you want to have a kind of tree kind of structure, you have to parse it properly with either any of the CSV, any of the XML kind of JSON kind of thing, you have to parse it. Otherwise, if you can do with SQL collections, all these things, so you can also do like the what is the best way you wanted to do the filtering unique things, that is up to you, you wanted to do. So now the first thing what we want to see is unique records I want to do. I I'm able to do the unique records. In the next video, we will see the looping through and the filtering, how it will do it with additional functions. Okay, that's all I wanted to cover for this video. Thank you for watching this video. Please let me know in case have any comments, any issues, so through the comments. Thank you.